Hello. We are starting our second episode of the Vinyl Verdict podcast. I'm Shell,
I'm Giselle.
and we have Wendy Parr
Woo.
as our second guest. Wendy is a holistic vocal coach, has been coaching for more than 30 years, coaches artists like Melanie Martinez, Sarah Bareilles, Queen Herbie, and we're just going to ask a bunch of questions regarding you as an artist, you as a vocal coach, and just you in general. Um,
Awesome.
we're so happy to have you, Wendy. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
Definitely. I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Shell, for asking.
Do you want to kickstart?
Sure.
Yeah.
Can you share a pivotal moment or experience in your own musical journey that shaped your approach to teaching?
Oh, 100%. So I started working when I was 8 years old as a professional performer, artist, singer. I was doing musical theater. I was doing corporate. I was doing voiceovers and commercials. And then coming up, I think one of the number one things that shaped me was that I had a mentor and coaches who really told me there's like one way to sing. Like there's a right way to sing. This is how you have to sing. This is good singing. And combine that with me being a teenager and already being a perfectionist, that really shut me down. To be told you can't do this and you have to be like that. So I felt very put in a box, right? And then in my personal life, that was happening as well, which was like, there's a right way to be a daughter, and you have to be a good girl, and you need to be, don't don't be queer, which obviously everybody knew I was before I knew I was, but they were like, don't show that, you can't show that. So on all fronts, I was getting, don't do you, right? Like, don't be you. And
Mm.
so what happened was I started hating music. I didn't like my voice. I didn't like the sound of my voice. I didn't like singing anymore. And I was like, wait, what happened? This thing I love the most, I am not enjoying it. What happened? What went wrong? And so unraveling that, I found, oh, okay, my heart and soul is back here, kind of locked in a cage, and my good singing voice is out here impressing people, and I don't feel connected to it anymore. And the entire experience of singing and purpose of art itself is to express yourself,
Right.
share who you are with others, and for a purpose. Like I'm going to serve my audience because I have a message to give. I want to impact people in a certain way, and you can't do that if you aren't being authentic. You can't do that if you can't serve your own purpose. You can't be in your own skin. So that totally informed my coaching, and it took me a while to find what is now my first session with every artist. It's an hour and a half session. It's called Blueprint, and we really address, like, who are you as a person and why do you love music? Let's talk about what's getting in the way of that. Where is your worry? Where's your fear? Where's your focus go that makes the joy disappear? And so we really set up the training that we're going to do vocally by clearing away the perfectionism, by clearing away the beliefs and the focus that isn't serving the artist, and just really help them get back to, oh, this is why I make music. That's right. And so many artists have even said to me, no one's been asked me that ever in my career. Why do I make music? No one's, I never thought about it. No one's asked me about it. And on the one hand, you don't have to know because you're so driven, you're doing it. On the other hand, when you do know, you can also know when you're not serving that, and you start to like serve ticket sales, serve likes on social media, serve outside validation. And you go, oh wait, so if I can help anybody, the pain and suffering of being out of alignment, away from your own integrity, not listening to your inner vision, that drives me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm your intern, and all of the programs that you do, Blueprint, Compass, Soundchart, they really mesh together to create what the PAR method is. And I kind of want to ask, besides the programs that you do, what is the main core philosophy behind the PAR method?
Love that. The core of it is really empowering people. Oh, sorry. The core, okay. The core of the PAR method is really empowering artists to express their truth, their authenticity, to be in their joy, and to do that across the board, from vocals to visuals to brand, that everything is an expression of their inner vision.
Mm-hmm.
Their inner vision becomes their outer expression.
That's beautiful.
Love that. And one of my questions would be, what's the biggest misconception that people have about holistic vocal coaching?
Oh, that's a very good question. You know, I don't know if I have the exact answer for this, because when I've actually wondered, like, should I take the holistic off? Because when I've seen other people use it, it's not wrong. Everyone's got their own,
Definition.
yeah, or their own expression of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to feel bad even saying what I'm about to say, because I've just seen other people utilize it like they're using a lot of what's the word? They're focusing on other modalities outside of singing to help the singer. And again, there's something wrong with that. Like, Reiki's super cool, but I'm not doing Reiki as a vocal coach. I'm using holistic as in I work with the whole person, the emotional, mental, spiritual aspects of this human being who is an artist using their voice to express themselves. So when I say holistic vocal coach, I mean, I'm not just working on your voice like a mechanical box, because it's attached to a living, breathing nervous system and a person that's affected by the world and your emotions and your state of being. So I'm helping the whole person with their art and dealing with the whole person, addressing the whole person artistically.
I see.
Love that.
Yeah.
So, in terms of the people that you work with, I know you work with a lot of people. What is like one or two big mistakes that stops them from like progress? And like, what would you say to them in order for them to avoid that hindrance?
That's awesome. That's a really awesome question. Stopping people from progress. Well, number one is perfectionism. Like, just this idea that it has to be a certain way before I can release the song, or before I can put out that video. Like, I think that perfectionism, when it becomes inhibitive, which it generally is, that's a problem right there, because it actually stops your creative flow, and then it stops your professional flow of like actually releasing a campaign. And the question I ask around that is, for example, I mean, every artist I know, and this will lead us to why I created Compass, but every artist I know, somewhere along the way, or several times along the way of a campaign, be it the artwork, the video, this part, that part, will say, I don't want to put it out. It's not right. It's not right. Mm-hmm. So then the question I ask is it fundamentally wrong? Like, does it express who you are? Like, if you're badass, is it badass? Do you just wish the production was better? But like, it does hit the mark, then you don't want to release it because of fear or self-sabotage, or, it's just not what you wish it could be. But it's still hitting the mark right here and now for today. So put it there. And then, production value gets better, your budget changes. But that's the question. Like, is it hitting the mark? If it's not hitting the mark, and you go, actually, like, it's really not my vision, then you do need to scrap it and be like, it's too frou-frou and I'm badass. Then you got to be like, okay, then, and here's the next biggest struggle I see with all artists, and why I made Compass. One artist I was just speaking to said, 80% of my job is communicating my vision to someone else who executes it. Video director, photographer, if they're not self-producing, a producer that you're collaborating with. Right. So if I can't communicate it, you're in trouble, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In my experience, 3 to 5% of artists have a vision outside of music making. Okay. Only 3 to 5% of the artists can say, this is my visual aesthetic, or this is my big why. This is how I want to impact my audience. And it needs to be that way, from my lyric to my sound to my stage performance. To get that kind of clarity takes years, 7 to 10 years. And then even still, a lot of artists don't know how to communicate that. So this is where I created Compass. I created Compass because I was seeing, okay, I'm helping the artist vocally expand, open up, being able to express themselves more. That changes their melody writing and their songwriting now because they can paint with new colors, new vocal options. Now, how do I help that artist take that same message and be able to express it in their visuals and in their music video, and in that everything is telling that story of who they are and having the impact that they want to have with an audience, whether that's I want people to forget their troubles and have a good time. I want people to feel less alone. I want people to feel, I want to empower young women, like whatever you're serving. And so getting that clarity, helping artists have that clarity and then that ability to communicate it, it's so thrilling to me. I was just in a session before this. We have our weekly meetups for Compass. We just had a weekly meetup right before this. And on Wednesday we had our session, and one of the artists started bringing their visuals for the three of the songs on their upcoming album. And she said to me, she's like, first of all, I want to say thank you because I've never been able to see visually what I wanted my music to look like. This has been a struggle. I've never been able to do it. And their visual boards were incredible. And so we went into them and we went into so all three songs had a different focus for each song energetically. They become aware of their archetype, and they realized my main archetype is like really shaping the whole album is rooted in this archetype. So we have a concept album and then different elements coming in each song. And then we were looking at these visuals, and then we started tying in other things that they do in life, that they're about in life. And we're like, okay, well, this is where you could bring it into this song. This is how you could bring it into this song. And I started showing them like the themes that were across the board, like on all three of the visuals. These are elements that I see. So these are your core elements. And then in each song, this one's taking the lead, and then this color is taking the lead, and then this element's taking the lead. And you could have the thing, like the element that's very dominant in this video could just be subtly in the background in the first video. Right?
Like,
and then yes, very much so. And then this element that's dominant in the first one could just casually be somewhere in this video. So on a subliminal level or on a subconscious level, because most people aren't going to catch all the details, but some people will. But what we get is, oh, there's the consistency of this person. Again, if you're badass and you're dangerous, okay, well, this video needs 20% dangerous and 80% of whatever else it is. This video needs 80% of dangerous and the 20% of the other. So we need to see you consistently everywhere. That's what makes your audience believe you, right? But if you don't know, like, well, what is it about me that I'm sharing with the world? Like, how do I get these ideas? All those ideas that they got came from these processes that I bring people through. So now they're building a world and a live show. And we were just talking in this session, we were just talking about their merchandise. And okay, well, here's the merch and here's why they want to create it. And this is the aspect that they want to share. And then we started brainstorming about that. And so again, this inner vision is coming out, and in a way that can be now turned into like the whole concept of their album and their project. And we're going to get to not only know the artist this way, but relate to them and connect with them and believe them, because we're like, yep, they're showing up being them. They're showing up being them. And the artist is so confident because they're like, I know who I am and why I want to do this. And I'm so clear about it. So the confidence to like really show up and shine is there.
Yeah. Wow. That's beautiful.
That was.
Oh my goodness.
This is what thrills me.
Yeah, I can tell. I feel your passion. Like I want to sign up.
And one of the artists was saying, like, I was saying how, like, I've seen a few other, I'm aware of 3 other artist development programs. 2 are actually much more about like marketing, and the artist development branding portion is like really small. And then the other one is actually really rooted in like songwriting, and the branding is like even less.
So it's really just about the art and not the artist.
Yeah. It's about the song. It's about who are you as an artist, as a songwriter, and the music. So, but the rest of the part isn't really being addressed. Business is, and they're all addressing business because everybody wants to, like, I want to have fans. I need to make this a business, right? But I'm about, well, who are you and what are you selling first,
Right.
Mm.
Yeah,
right?
I noticed that.
How do you what are you marketing? Like,
Exactly.
who are you? And when things really take off for any artist, 7 to 10 years as an average, it's because they've gotten to the place where they're like, chaperone. I am a queer drag queen with a
Hmm.
touch of burlesque, right?
Hmm.
I'm a female queer drag queen. That clarity is why you see everything making sense everywhere, you
Yup.
know? And why we go, oh my God, amazing. And it's so consistent, and her choices are bold and her choices are big. And then someone pointed out, yeah, but like in her, TikTok, sometimes she's like, no makeup and a big t-shirt. And I'm like, yeah, that's drag.
Yeah, literally.
Like literally take off all the makeup. A drag queen is male. Like they look like a different person out of drag. I'm like,
Yeah.
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 And it was like, oh yeah. Also, you need 3 stages. You need stage you, behind the scenes interview, recording you, and then casual you. And they
You.
still all
Yeah.
right. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you're badass, you need to be badass in all three. But we don't show up. I don't think you show up on TikTok with no makeup as a diva. I mean, if you are a diva archetype, you will, but you're not gonna like you don't show up in a boa and fuzzy things. Oh, no, like we're not, that's stage. So yeah, and so the artists that I was saying like of these other programs that I'm aware of, and they're good, they're really good at like what they're doing, but they're just very different. And one of the artists in the program said, yeah, because what you're doing is spiritual work.
Mm.
It's like, yes, that's true. This
Wow.
is 6 months of like deep reflection within yourself to be like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to really find out about myself so that I can take that inner vision and express it with like
Come to
confidence and
life.
clarity. And you have to be willing to self-reflect to do that. You have to be willing to dig. You have to be willing to spend some time with yourself
Hmm.
and find and it's not, I mean, I don't think it's hard. I think it's fun, but there is a certain amount of like, ooh, this isn't, it's not light, it's not surface work,
Right.
but it's rich and rewarding. It's thrilling. Like I said, when I'm seeing the fireworks going off for the artists now, and they're working on a project, and they're like, here's the photo shoot we just did for the project. We're like, nailed it.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. Okay, so my next question for you is how do you balance the artistic side of music with the business aspects of running your own company?
Good question. So I think for me, the first part is the artistic. So what is going to sell is the thing that the artist really believes in and what the artist
Hmm.
loves and is passionate about. So let's get really clear about that.
Mhm.
And then I think that you have to spend a certain amount of time doing each thing. So there's, okay, I'm working on the project, I'm working on my art, I'm practicing, I work on my vocals, I work on my skills, I'm working on my dance choreography, like, and there's also seasonal, right? Like there's the time when people are writing an album, and then there's the recording of the album, and then there's the touring of the album, and you're not writing necessarily, like maybe you're writing a little, but you're not in a writing season. So
Mhm.
there
Hmm.
are seasons, and you give your full energy to the season you're in. And then there's a certain amount of business that needs to happen every day. So how much how much it's often like reverse engineering. If you're like, okay, we're going to release an album, and this also depends on the artist, like, are you indie, do you have a big team, like that, I mean, that changes everything, right? If you are an indie artist doing it all yourself, that's 7 full-time jobs, right?
Hmm.
So there's just a little bit every day that needs to be done to move your career forward, and that's how I like to think about it. It's like, are you moving the needle? If you're moving the needle, applaud yourself. That's it. Just move the needle.
Mhm.
Um, and reverse engineer. If you're like, okay, here's my goals for the year. In order to, let's say I want to make an album. Okay, so to make an album, what do I need to do? I need to write 25 to 50 songs or more. So I'm going to get into songwriting sessions. I'm going to do that. I'm going to have how many songs, when do I want to release the first one? So you reverse engineer your goals, and then you can start mapping out what you need to do month by month. And then every day do the three most important things. Like, what are my priorities for today? Let me do them first. Anything else you get to do or are able to do is great. But if you do the three most important things, the priority things, you're going to feel really good about yourself, right? You're like, oh, I'm not procrastinating to the point where I'm not doing the thing that matters, right? Like I'm not pushing my deadline further and further. Like, oh, no. I emailed I emailed three business contacts today that I want to mentor. So I emailed people to reach out to ask some questions. I want to make my album. So I got myself in the writing room, or I'm working on it. I'm reaching out to people. Like, if you put your priorities first, the level of confidence that gives you, and power and empowerment, it's everything. And so I really do feel like as long as you're moving the needle, you will get there. Deadlines change, goals even change, an opportunity that you didn't expect could show up, and you go, oh, but I want to make an album. And you're like, but I just got invited to be on this project, and those people are amazing and I love them. I would have so much fun if I went on tour with them for the next 2 months. I'm going to do that, right? So those type of things happen. And sometimes you're going to say no to that type of thing because you're like, no, that's a distraction and I'm on it. And sometimes you're like, no, that's going to like just grow my life and career. So yeah, right. I don't have a hard deadline on my album. I can go get paid for this and get on this and meet people, and it's, all that kind of thing. But as long as you are moving the needle, you'll get there. You'll do it. 7 to 10 years to be an overnight success, 7 to 10 years to find your voice as an artist. So just take the steps, move the needle, take the steps, move the needle.
I actually had a question about distractions. So let's say you're an artist. What would you constitute as a distraction? Like, what is,
First, can I ask you, are you hearing a lot of background noise, or
no,
you're not
you're good.
getting it? Okay.
You're good.
Okay. So what would I consider distraction?
Yeah, if you were, let's say, starting artist, you're invited to do like a soundtrack on something, but then you have to focus on your own stuff. Like, for you, what do you constitute as a distraction and what do you constitute as an opportunity?
Ooh, very good question. I think a distraction is anything that's, and I'm going to borrow this from Carolyn Mace. A distraction, and she refers to addictions as this, but I think a distraction is anything that pulls you from your soul's purpose. So a gig playing keys in another band is not a distraction if your purpose is to have a music career. It's not a distraction if you're like, I'm building my career as an artist and songwriter. That is an amazing opportunity to do that. I'll give an example of my friend Paul Moak, who's a super talented producer, guitar player, toured for years. And he told this story, and I'll share it because I think it's a good one of knowing like where it's not where it's a distraction. And at this level, so he'd been successfully touring for 10 years, and he decided he wanted to root more at home. He wanted to produce more, and he wanted to have a family with his wife. So he's like, I'm not going to tour anymore. I'm going to open up a studio in Nashville, and I'm going to start producing. That's what I want to do. And as soon as he decided that, he was offered a massive tour, like biggest artist in country, 3-year world tour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Is there a right or wrong answer? Only he knows, right? But he said that opportunity came, and I knew it would be like, it'd be good money. He's like, but it was absolutely not, like, I had decided and I knew I want to make a family and I want to root myself now. So I said no to it. And then, he saw his friend in the role that in the part, the part of the player in the band on the Grammys that, a minute later. But he then spent the next 10 years creating a really, really amazing studio recording space called Smokestack. He's produced a ton of albums. He's got twin kids and a family. Like, he's happy.
Yeah.
And now I think it's like 10 years or more later, he's now touring again with like Ann Wilson, Hart. He's touring again.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, and now at this point, he's like, okay, I want to do that again now, right? So I do think that only you can know deep inside yourself, like, he was already very successful. So it wasn't like, oh, this is a big opportunity I've never had. It was huge. It was a huge opportunity, that 3-year world tour with a major artist. It's huge. But for him, it was like, this is the world asking me, are you sure about your decision? And he's like, yes, I am.
Mm-hmm.
But anything that's going to help you grow as an artist, and again, you'll know inside of you if you am I taking something because it's the easy way out, and it's making me not do the thing that I really want to be doing, then you'll know that. Like, you'll know inside of you if you're like, yeah, I'm just going to say yes to this because doing that other thing is challenging and gets me out of my comfort zone, and I'm avoiding that.
Mm-hmm.
Or you do it because this would be challenging. Like, they're going to ask me to run stems, and I've never done that, or I have to learn a new instrument for this band, and I'm going to do harmonies, and oh my gosh, how cool. Like, that challenge is going to be fun. It's going to help me grow as a musician. I really like the people. Like, that's important. You got to like the people you're going to work with. That's like, that should be high ranking in your decision making process. Because no pay is worth horrible people and a bad experience.
Right.
Agreed.
It's really not. So yeah, I think the distractions are partying, where if you're hanging out with people and it's stopping you from your personal growth, if it's stopping you from like getting up the next day to go to the studio session, and you're canceling studio sessions because you're out, having fun and celebrating, that's a distraction, right? Because it's preventing you from the thing that you're really wanting and what you're here to do.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so I have heard your passion this entire time that we've been talking. I love it. It is exuding through the
I
screen.
told you she'd be a great
Yes,
guest.
thousands of miles. I can feel it. So, what would you say is the most rewarding about your work with the Parr method?
When someone's having fun, we're winning.
I
I
agree.
love that answer.
I agree.
Yeah, when they're like they're in a concert and they're telling me, "Oh my gosh, I was having so much fun. Like, I wasn't worrying about singing and it was so easy." Like, when we're having fun, like, we've just won the game. Like, I think we won the game of life. I think we won the game of singing. I love that. And then that would be similar, like with Compass and the artist development side of, like, when someone's having fun making their art, they're having fun. One of the artists, one of the artists in Compass was like, I hate social media, which I think 99% of musicians do.
Same.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's, in many ways, it's ruined the music industry.
Agreed.
Yep.
And on the other hand, it's an incredible vehicle to, like, just start your own television station and connect to an audience.
Yeah.
But I think that, again, we have to find the way, like, how do I use this vehicle to share my message and not become a puppet to the vehicle? When I see people doing, for example, whatever the trend is, that's like, here's one trend. You're like, hey, you want to blah, 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 blah? No, really? Blah, blah, blah. And someone's doing this. I'm like, if you're not an actor or a comedic actor, please don't do that. Like, it's not your thing. It's not your strength.
Yeah.
It's not your vehicle to express. Don't do it. Find another thing to do on that channel. Like, find
Right.
another, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it'd be similar to, like, when I see people, like, posing like they're models. And I'm like, models have a stardust, and you go, that's a model. Like, there's an energy to that person. There's an archetype to that person.
Right. Yeah.
That's not you. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not you. Like, do you. Like, no one can be you. So please be you. Do you.
Right. Be authentic to yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thrill on that with Compass is, turn us around a little bit. Uh, Same. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. So there's an artist who's like, I hate social media. I don't even want my face on social media. And then when we started connecting and talking and finding their world and really building their world and who they are, um, they were telling me about something that they like to do in life outside of music. And I was like, well, that's amazing. You know what you could do with that? And I came up with an idea of something that they could do and how to bring it into their live show. And it's like, and here's what you could do to create like a whole series on social media with that. And then they're like, oh, and then I could also do this. And then, we just ping pong this idea. And by the end, and then later, like they're starting to do it, and they're like, I am really excited to do this and to do it like with this in mind and for that reason, da da da. And so now they have a whole series idea that they're going to put into social media. When they started with, I hate social media, I don't even want my face on it, to, oh my God, I'm so excited to do this project.
Mm.
We're in the fun zone, we're in the expressive zone, we're in like, I'm creating something I'm excited and jazzed about. Yes. I want people to live lives they love.
Yeah. I have a question about, so this is the Vinyl Verdict podcast where we uplift powerful women in the music industry, right? So what is some advice that you would give to a starting artist who feels very hopeless in the music industry because let's say they don't necessarily fit the mold that, the patriarchy and like what the music industry wants as a female artist.
Right.
Oh, I'm so excited about this person. I want this person in the music industry. I want this person expressing their art. The music industry doesn't even know like what it wants. It wants something that's going to be successful. And what is
Sure.
successful is truth and interesting and out there. Yes. Well, here's something to be aware of. There's like less than 1% of the population of artists that like the whole world knows at any given time, right? There's like five or
Right.
six artists that we all know about.
Mhm.
Like Beyonce.
Oh God, I love Beyonce.
Exactly. Like Beyonce. Okay. Everyone knows Beyonce, right? Those are a handful of people.
Mhm.
The tens of thousands of artists that have a lifelong career in music are here. And they have a fan base that loves them and has followed them for 12 and 20 years. They are touring musicians and performing to consistent, 2 to 10,000 people. Like most artists are here. Don't don't even don't even try to be Beyonce. Like,
Right.
and I don't even mean don't try. Don't compare yourself to Beyonce. Don't think that
Mhm.
that's the only version of success, because actually most people are successful here.
Mhm.
Mm.
And Beyonce and that enterprise is a whole nother, like, uh what's the word?
Playing field.
Yeah. I mean, it's a billion-dollar company,
Right.
Mhm.
multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
And there are other artists that make billions of dollars that don't even look like that. And then there are other artists that have, like I said, 40, 50 lifetime careers that you may or may not know of, but there's a whole bunch of people that love that artist and they're in their own world doing their own thing.
Mm.
So what I would say to that artist is, please don't try to fit in or be what you think anyone wants. Don't be discouraged by anyone telling you you can't make it, because every artist that is successful has been told they wouldn't make it at least 50 times. Most successful artists have been dropped by a label.
Uh-huh.
Um, I mean, there's a million stories of artists who have been told you won't make it, they make it. That song sucks, it becomes a hit. Like, no one has the crystal ball.
Mhm.
What you have is your truth, your passion, your integrity, and your grit and discipline. So discover who you are and how you want to share your art. At the same time, listen. I'm not saying shut out the world and what it says to you, because that doesn't work. You have to reflect, like, oh, is that song working when I play it live? Or wow, I keep hearing from people that like I'm out of tune, or there must be truth to that. Like we have to self-reflect to grow.
Mhm.
I'm not saying like I'm not listening to anybody. It's not that. It's it is though about trusting and believing in yourself. And I'm not going to fight the world. I'm just going to show up doing me. And people who dig it will show up, and people who don't won't be my fans. Someone else will. Um, so keep the discovery process, your own discovery process happening, and stick with it. And
Mhm.
find one person who champions you. Um, find a mentor who can help you grow, that you trust, that is supportive and that can help you get ahead because their ears are helping you. That their input is helping you save some time, helping you have some clarity. Get a couple mentors like that. Be in community. Because and go play live.
Yeah.
I have an artist right now who's just started to play live, and they said like, okay, I've committed to doing a show in April, and I was telling them just go do karaoke and go do open mics,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and they've started doing it every week, and they were like, okay, I'm actually finding out I'm not as bad as I thought I was, and I was like, I knew that. In fact, I told you you're going to get reflection from the audience and find out, oh wow, people like my singing, because
Mhm.
her self-doubt was greater and not aligned with the reality of the quality of her art and her
Mhm.
singing music. So she's like, I'm back, like, and that confidence is helping her do the next show, and it's giving her perspective as well. And
Mhm.
so that's also really important, like finding a community that is supportive, where everyone's playing their songs and listening and getting feedback from each other. That you need that. So you get out of your own head and you get outside validation and outside information that is,
Mhm.
like I said, supportive, but also honest and realistic. And from people who have some quality or some reason, like, don't play it for your parents. Play it for a
Right.
group of songwriters and artists who are in the game.
Mhm.
And then, take some of it with a grain of salt, because you might notice like, oh, that person over there actually has a lot of jealousy. So I'm going to take that with a grain of salt. But,
Mhm.
because remember, everybody's opinion is coming from themselves. It's not all about you at all. But again,
Mhm.
if you hear the same thing over and over, there's got to be truth. So let me go learn or improve that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Wendy, we have one more question.
This is my
Okay.
Um,
favorite question.
it is we're starting to do a thing where the final question is lighthearted,
Mm.
A little silly, if you will.
a little silly. Um, we're gonna ask the question, we'll give you some time to think about it, and then Giselle and I will like answer as well. So,
Oh, cool.
we have our so do you want to ask it?
Yes. Okay. If you could duet with any fictional character, who would it be and what song would you sing?
Fictional character.
Yes.
What song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll give you
We'll
some
give you some
time
time
to
to think about
think.
it.
You want to go? Do you have your
I
answer?
don't have mine this
I
time.
have my answer.
Okay.
Um, I love Steven Universe's soundtrack, so I would duet with any of the gems. I don't know if you know that cartoon, Wendy. It's a cartoon on Cartoon Network. The soundtrack is beautiful, very like I think you would enjoy it. And your kids would enjoy it too. They have a lot of good lessons
Send
and
me
they
a link.
even
Send me a
yeah,
link.
and they
Yeah.
even started the trend of having queer characters on Cartoon Network.
Hmm.
So, um
Amazing.
great show. So I would duet with Garnet and I would sing in in theme of Valentine's Day.
Okay.
I would sing Love Like You with her because I think
Oh,
her
I
voice
love that.
actress, the songs, Wendy, oh my gosh,
They are
you would love
beautiful
it. You
songs.
would love
Send me
it.
a link. Send me a link. I'll
I will.
definitely
I will.
love
Giselle,
this.
do you have your
Okay.
answer?
I have my fictional character, but I don't think I have the song because I would do Louis from Princess and the Frog, the alligator.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
I would do
Okay.
Louis. And I would have to be something jazz. Like I cannot have this phenomenal trumpet player next to me and not utilize their skills. Like you have
There you
to.
go.
Um, Oh, I don't know. Maybe we'd sing. Mm, hmm. I don't know. Amy Winehouse keeps popping up in my head, but I'm like, maybe we
You said that
need.
last time.
I did say that
You
last time.
love Amy.
Maybe we would do um Love is a Losing Game and have like a trumpet solo in there and just make it work. Like
That sounds amazing.
beautiful.
That sounds amazing.
Okay. All right, Wendy, do you have your answer?
I have like several answers, and I'm
Okay, give
Okay,
it, give
yeah.
it.
Let's run
on
through
the
them.
okay. I'm sure though at 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna think of something and be like, that's a question. Okay, so when you said fictional character, one of the first things that popped in my mind is Peter Pan because
Okay.
favorite childhood movie. And the song that came to my mind was, but it was influenced because you were saying jazz, and it made me think of What a Wonderful World.
Ooh,
Mm.
Like
that
me,
fits
me and
well.
Peter Pan singing like What a Wonderful World.
Oh yeah.
Hmm. That
But where
works.
my mind went to that would be like, oh, fictional character singing a song is Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz
Hmm.
Okay.
and singing Over the Rainbow because it's just one of my absolute all-time favorite songs.
Such a classic.
Yeah.
Beautiful classic.
And then with Dorothy, like
Yeah.
kind
It
of
That'd be
works.
beautiful.
Would
Yeah.
you have
amazing.
Toto? Would you
Yeah.
have
Would Toto
Toto
be
with
there?
you?
Like, yeah, that's so. And then Kermit the Frog came to mind.
Oh my God.
Oh, would love that.
What
Yes.
the rainbow song?
Yeah.
Rainbow
I love
Connection.
that.
Yes.
Yes.
Rainbow Connection.
I
But
love
also like Kermit, who's also green like Peter, but like Kermit and What a Wonderful World. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
yes,
That would
he
be
like
beautiful
I
as
Kermit
agree.
would
well.
nail that.
Kill it.
100%.
Yeah.
It's like the theme of his life right there. It's a wonderful
No,
world.
for real.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being with us, Wendy. We appreciate your insight, and your time. I know you're in Paris, uh, probably late for
Thanks for
dinner.
asking me.
Of course. Yeah, we'll just end off this podcast episode here,
Yeah.
and we hope to hear from you soon.